First, the Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia manifesto is better than the 2020 manifesto of MPP when it comes to sports.
Better than?
Yeah,
better
far better.
MPP.
Yes, MPP.
Dr. Bawumia.
Yes, the manifesto on sports this year is better than 2020.
Okay. Point number one.
Yeah, point number one. Because 2020, they used just 2 pages to talk about the youth and the sports. I'm talking about the MPP manifesto.
I'm saying we may have to watch it and no
ratings. Okay.
And I'm saying next time maybe. Okay, I've been so I draw your attention. Say Zakito doesn't have a channel. To be a Obed and our also
channel.
Also when TV no.
Okay.
Zach, or being a draw attention say you don't have a channel. YouTube cast on one of the back.
Zach, you don't hear YouTube. On the more the doors. So, leadership of service. That was the MPP manifesto in 2020. Honestly, I'm going through it and pay so much attention to the youth and sports. I have a screenshot of it. The first part, I want to say MPP in 2020, they focus on promises and done. What they promised the previous, yes, in 2016. Manifesto, what they promised. Into first part, and they were talking about establishment of a youth entrepreneurship fund, no matter progress. Women in football program to support female athletes, no matter done. No matter develop a youth in sports model to support young sportsmen and women, no matter done. So they were earlier on referring to 2016. They are no matter. Way NDC rather. I'll come to the People's Manifesto by Mahama. That was in 2020. Now we are checking differences kakra. Now, Now, one thing that clearly there is an issue was that in 2020, in the leadership of service manifesto of the MPP, now their focus was the multifunction, multi-purpose youth center, resource center. And they promised that in 2016 to 2020, so it's in progress. But Mr. Two, per the last parliamentary meeting, the Minister of Youth and Sports, it appears that Bibi can with them. So even before we come to the current manifesto of even the MPP.
Okay, Dr. so let me do this factually.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Was it the YouTube channel is for Bright Wua?
Okay, then he's talking about a different person.
Popularly known as Bright 2.
Then he
was recently with Ezra.
Okay, yeah.
Ezra Sports.
Okay.
TM say Bonnie is confusing a lot of
and or Kenya okay. So Mr. Oto, that is a part where in 2016 the MPP admitted that it's in progress. Okay. In 2016, the car but new. And they say since it's in progress, it becomes part of the 2020 manifesto because they have to finish it. But the sad aspect is Mr. Oto is not done. And fortunately or unfortunately, the new manifesto did not capture that part. Okay. So now let's come to Dr. Bawumia's manifesto. Then you understand why Amemeka said it was far better than previous. So this is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's manifesto. And it starts from the tax aspect, which you have to give it to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and his team. Okay. Clearly, on that spot, an idea people have called for when it comes to taxes. Into the first key point was tax incentives. Also, a flat tax. Probably maybe another day if you get the chance to meet Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, you better expect him and explaining it much better. But just the aspect say the MPP manifesto capture say private sector in terms of sports, tourism, and creative art. Now, what is private sector? All football clubs are private sectors because individual will be the why. Until the moment you capture say flat incentives for the private sector, there. It means that if you're a football club...
A flat tax is a tax system where a single tax rate is applied to all taxpayers.
Good.
Regardless of their income level or source of income. The key features of flat tax are single tax rate, no tax brackets, no deductions or exemptions, simplified tax code, and all that. Pros of a flat tax. And near money, simplification, efficiency, economic growth, and all of that.
And it captured the sectors, key sectors, was sports, tourism, and creative art. Born is still fan also. So it means that way a football club, the moment if Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is winning, you have something to ask him questions or opinion any flag task no. Also, okay, sports.
And as a Otua Bama Norway near
the moment
Obinya,
now, Mr.
Oh, so they are asking me, but they are asking people to vote for them. Same thing, manifesto.
Yeah.
Now, two man and Obed, one to Obed.
Okay. On same so to graphics, no more can sports creative art. So the second one is for the creative arts for no. It's for the tourism aspect. No, the e-visa and there's mostly for tourism and other things. Now the third one comes to the creative arts for international shows. The fourth point, more of tourism according to onsem. Now the fifth one still according to the creative arts for or let's our point. So on this particular graphics, there are two meant for sports, which is the first one that was wrong, and the last one was on
for sports, creative
arts and tourism. Yes, and Hanok has established a sports development fund to develop sports infrastructure, talent, and grassroots sports program. This is Mr. Two, the second thing Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia a kind about sports. So we develop what we call a fund. Now fund na Mr. Two as a MPP develop
to develop sports infrastructure, talent, and grassroots sports.
And grassroots. No, before so we first one.
Okay.
But it looks like there are several forms of funds MPP developing, but this one namely different. Where sports development fund. So I check here almost 2020 manifesto. No, they had the youth employment fund, the youth enterprise fund, which is different. Or more fund be to develop a sports. This 2020 sports
fund be say. As I'm can fund be and I say fund the year Juma.
Yeah, Juma. Say we need almost develop a youth in sports model to support young sportsmen and women. This was in 2016, Mr. Otu. It sounds similar to the Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia can say
Okay, this is
MPP DNA. Until I'm starting from until I'm starting from 2016 no. Ban so that people so to kakrebi. My point is Omedical in 2016 as I can in 2020 say they will develop a sports in youth model to support young sportsmen and women.
Okay, in 16
Omaye.
Okay.
And Omasa something similar. I say
so I
don't know the difference.
Okay, on baby account.
But when you say a sports development fund, you say whether any youth model to support young guys no see different now. But in 2016, the 2020, the focus was to develop talent and grassroots sports personnel. Okay. But we now so the only thing I count here infrastructure. But that raises the question of 2016 promise of a youth, multi-purpose youth and sports resource center. As at now, I can with them. So he raised the question, say, you have an unfulfilled promise, which dances around infrastructure from 2016 to 2020. At the moment, the Minister of Youth and Sports, per his last meeting with Parliament, is saying, say, it might be difficult for them to complete because initially, District Assembly Fund, and then 5% to support this particular project. Now, Parliament Assisam Ranoma is no longer coming into the source of revenue for the multi-purpose sports and youth resource center. MPP started, I say there were pictures. Bon can give us some of the pictures. The The minister is saying that their major source of income.
Okay.
Is no longer
no,
they will need to complete it. So if I'm using the famous words of Nana Amponsa, a completed building is far better than an uncompleted building with maybe a mansion. And now the minister is telling us that baby from the any hobby. So it raises question about
what we need to do next week.
Yeah.
I was say let's go through manifesto, then I'll give you areas we can do a better comparison.
Yeah.
So unless I to me,
yeah.
We'll be doing this.
So me how pay the infrastructure bit, no.
Yeah.
Infrastructure, no, because there is one that is not done.
One that's not completed.
It's not completed. It's not completed. I think Dr. Bawumia should have captured that. Say, me ba betwaso. But then me say no na the sports development fund and so maybe if omo try any share, they can explain it.
Okay.
No, to the next one, no. And and yet it talked a lot.
Touch on the friendly matches.
It talked a lot about sports power. The also first one they need 2 penny sports.
Yeah.
But second one it talking about Ghana's football, youth football. Second one it talking about stadiums or
upgrade the surface of our football pitches to meet the highest international standards.
Yes.
Kumasi, Accra, Cape Coast, Tamale, Legon, and Esipon.
Yes.
Continue the construction of AstroTurf for every constituency to boost the development of our talents, including juvenile football. Support the revival of the Premier League and clubs to improve commercial viability and to create related jobs. Start an Operation Olympics Glory program by dedicating resources towards the preparations and readiness of athletes for the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles, USA and beyond. Build six 5,000-seater capacity stadium for the new regions. New regions here, OT and those. Okay, promote school sports by establishing a Ghana school sports secretariat to create more opportunities for young people in sports.
So it was a second way, no? A capture, but the big question again, the uncompleted 10 youth projects, no? And one capture Now the question again is, we are still under the MPP, but the state of the pitches, no? At least we should have seen some level of improvement for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So to us, one thing people must understand: you change head now. About 50% of appointees, ministers, are likely to still stay within the same party. What's the track record? No, about 50%. Sometimes it's even more than that. Until be a head nepen yasasa, or not the new ones, Baby Shim dear. But majority of them money na na do ye adwuma na. But 50% is likely to continue that. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Good. So, but we should see signals.
Okay.
For the manifesto, send me can first, no. We share 2020 leadership of serviceman Nana Ado manifesto, especially on youth and sports. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's own is more detailed.
So we will continue from here.
And not yet. From that point, I think NDC Mama born from because the NDC, no, we have the same candidate. Inti no 2020, the People's Manifesto, the promises, no. Now can say they about compare.
The one NDC aminyasem.
No to what?
One manaka we nyina wie.
No to the sports. No to the sports development fund.
Kayami be frame this year.
Bawumia fire no. I hope Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia manifesto. It was in Mahama's manifesto in 2020. The sports development fund first and the down.
Dogo free and this.
Minkasa, Mr. To Mr. Obed pass my man.
You have told me who now knows that
but this is NDC's manifesto in 2020, the People's Manifesto. Okay, page 98. The first point on sports was
establish the sports development fund to promote sports in Ghana. And then also appear Dr. Bawumia.
Yes. Nti Minkasa wako.
Na nti we di obi MP obi di BM. So asem na de kro na no mo. Obed. Neutral. Zakito.
Muzoto.
Why ya no the point ba ko pe.
I unse na ba for ka say there are a lot of obi nkufo bi di ende nim because enim di odi kan chon dey first. No meka this year dia na omo de ba mountain no. Enti menim say
no nyina towards developing Ghana. Enti ya the crocras enye.
Now so sa me fa mienu na. Truth is that I see one as a more solutional. Yeah,
Why
yeah.
didn't I solution?
I see one as I see one as a more solutioner
First time it is our word.
than
Solutioner. Okay. Mommy go ahead.
Yeah. Now, simple. Sports in general. The entire di kan ma sa first ni say adebako a has sports pa okroma say funding. It is funding. That is all.
Jack, no.
Funding is the biggest problem that is hindering our sports. Okroma say. And it is the manifesto of the MPP at least is giving a solution to the funding problems now. Clubs when our sports we are saying now. One of the biggest tax. The biggest amount all a tax. And one is telling you say mo problem kase pa na ye tax na aduko mo na ama enti no mo ye hwe anya yie no matie musu no me ba I will give you a flat tax rate. Instead of ABR, the 17 point, na a friend is fixed a
Oben when we dominate next week, then probably a presentation we will allow time to
between taxes.
There be no the yes
now Muloto say class no adeba kwa edokro omopa tax. If you ask them, they will tell you say wabobole wi na about ska wenya no 50%. Yet in terms of nyama. And if you have someone, and again, omukra nyama ba, say at the port, they are struggling to clear their goods. Nyama omukra deba. Now I say Eric Okan's ma problem. Na Jesse say omukra ba. All those kind of MP money is going to clear no say omukra tria say in clearing the Jesses. I think say osoro tax, you understand? And I think that one, the manifesto of the MPP is giving a solution to one of the biggest problems they are facing in terms of nema omukraba tax na edoso so and ombobol wi tax na edoso na omuntimi nyesika do no one eso etiaba uya ni free wa msotu. There's one place that ABA Adwene Enkoso establish a sports development fund to develop sports infrastructure. And you know, I listened to Obed and he was saying about ABA Wambo because the sports infrastructure it means it can include maybe an Omanda Dara Omunye, you know. So and it includes also sports infrastructure. And we're talking about funding. At least one day, where the funding will come from. He's telling you where I'll get the money and do A, B, C, D, and they're more detailed. Now there's one thing that a key here. So to support the revival of the Premier League and clubs to improve commercial viability. So today we are struggling because our sports commercially zero. Now so unye penyi mi no kecha wo say because if your adan are more attractive and attract more fans and commercial and those you know. Now I say he will make it Obama commercially viable. And commercially viable then it means you are getting more money. You understand? And I think I'm to Osha way now. At least he's giving solutions. He's giving where the funding will come from. Now, baby, I'm not even about salary. No, here again, he also talked about giving remunerations. even though me that any support of Omina in terms of Omina giving any waste salary, waste remunerations, and now Omina talk about it. Say, maybe I think say I'm not in support of but any important say far at least we can give examples. Now I show no why not in terms of records of say in terms of giving allowances. One or a good record, Chroma say. You have to look at those two. Say your brand Chroma say, who has a very good record in giving allowances. And clearly, the man from the MPP and his party have shown say young man allowances there. They can be trusted more. Because at least from the nursing for allowances, or more than we can trust them more. When it comes to giving allowances, than say
Zakito I didn't know politics
they say we expose say
okay.
Almost say say they will support allowances and salaries and things.
And now just a backo.
At least
our track record
of giving allowance.
Now so many allowances. Both parties.
No, say backo there. Do baby no. In terms of free sports no quite settle no. One cancelled, one came and paid.
Okay.
Now where they expose and say over fan waji me dia obehwe dia otimi an other sector. Then now the baby
I 2 minutes.
I think say based on this I am more solutional and you can have a more trust on it than say bia so offer NDC the am so too send there okay no the first thing is support the development of course Division 1, Division 2, Premier League, and blah blah blah, and pay allowances now. And I you see, offer Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia manifesto now. The first point, Adebiano see, say you send from 1, 2, 3. The first point that will entice you, if you pick about Doctor's manifesto and John Mahama's manifesto, the first points, Doctor's own will entice you more because the first point.
How can you?
Yes, so me and Abia, whoever is listening to me, support the development of course.
Entices me more.
Entices me more. Support the development of course. Also, if you pick the doctors, waka. He also talks about how to develop youth football and in waka. But one farmer first. Oh, some kind of me say support
course. Obed
Division 1, Division 2,
Obed was to program.
National lesson there. We knew why
all registered players with salaries and allowances.
Oh, bad. It is our shame to their support development of course. And it's already doctors who already anymore. One. And I take emergency refurbishment of stadium and also what MPP. It's the money different. A lot of things are similar. But the and you can find it in the other manifesto there, the tax incentive. Key point. Another one is key. Also the one who is telling you say I'll make your sports commercially viable. And the offers are two key areas where now. Which I think is a platform for the MPP candidate in Mahamudu Bawumia, but in the NDC they have not given us the solution in terms of the funding and how they will make clubs on who may
the woman say a discussion you per se no na me admame me ndabia na we the ben say you be send area obi mama idea say be nwunan ti bia offer infrastructure no offer parties no obi a track record as against the worker then we can as well draw a conclusion say we the any need because why be that and tie offer tax semwa in development of way obi so be 12 players car ni ahwe wa share bomb re bi no tuai ana enumdwa no wodwa ni nyina ndi so be dem say no be boa me yetimi aye a very dispassionate discussion said e be ya nkrofo be hu said o mesi ato o maba say o ye sports ni a o sports a also we interest ye me tie wa be develop sports any radio adwuma any me ma school and I say so you have a pension over here pension for ona ne tani mani e de be na fi wa bo ama ye ko ye nyini e be nya adwuma be tuma just kaka krato a ye ko pension de be tunuru